Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Cindy.
And in studio with us we have Jordan, and if somebody needed to contact us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right. Now, I usually ask students where they go to school and what grade you're in, but you were here just a couple of weeks ago, so you're still at Norris and still in 8th grade?
Yes.
You didn't automatically jump to 9th in the middle of the, okay,
No.
I just wanted to make sure. So how's school been since last time we saw you?
It's still been the same. It's been good though.
Okay. So what kind of things have you been doing since last we spoke?
Well, I've been learning differences of squares. That's what I've been learning new in math. And
so do you like doing those kinds of things? I mean, because sometimes in algebra, you know, there's certain days of doing things you're like, oh, I really like doing these types of problems, and I can do a lot of them, and I really enjoy them. And some are like, wow, this is really taking a long time. And so do you find things like that a little bit?
yeah, sometimes the lessons usually sometimes the lessons do take a while, just take us 2 days. And then the work is usually like really long in order to get the problem done.
Okay, well, you know what? The thing is it fun and engaging and challenging at the same time? Because that's what you want. Because once again, if all you did was know everything that you knew now for the rest of your life, it'd be kind of difficult to get through everything, right? So it's good to have that, you know, challenge there, and that's how your brain grows and develops. And you get better at it, right? All right, well, we're going to have you work on some of those problems a little bit later on with Cindy, and we have a lot of things going on. Pretty exciting day as we are in the midst of our 20th season. But first, let's take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, well, here we are once again. As I said, we are celebrating 20 years on Do the Math this year. And you can see one of the shots right there in the center from year one, a long time ago. How old are you?
Today?
Yeah.
I'm 13.
13. You got a birthday coming up?
Not really.
Oh,
Still
all right.
pretty
I was
far
like,
away.
oh, today, maybe tomorrow will be a new year, right? And anyway, I'll be right back, Jordan, Cindy, I'll be back in a moment. So what we're going to do is go behind the scenes, because all year long, we've been able to meet people involved with the program, Do the Math. And today we're going to go behind the scenes once again. So we were down in the control room yesterday, and we met with Jack and Kiki. And today, we're blocked from the control room. They've got important things going on, but we're going to hit a different room today. This is the audio room. And in the audio room with today is Joaquin. And Joaquin, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So is it me? Does it kind of echo in here? Is that what it's supposed to do? Or is it just because, I mean, nothing ever usually happens in this room, right?
Well, it's just because we have multiple mics going on.
So
right
a
now.
lot of microphones going on, right?
Yes,
So we've got 3 different microphones going on. So Joaquin, what is your role with Do the Math?
So what my role is here at Do the Math is I control all of the audio. You know, the microphone you're holding and the microphone that's on your shirt. I'm controlling that all right now so that the viewers at home can hear it properly. And
Okay.
So that's what I do.
So just like Jack was in control of everything that people saw, you're in control of everything that people hear,
Yes, correct.
which is equally as important, right? Okay. So I can see that there are a lot of different microphones on
Right.
here. And so right now, these are just the two that I'm using,
Correct.
right? So all of the other ones, am I correct in saying these are potted down?
Yes, they're down so we don't get the feedback or audio from them.
Okay. And how many microphones do you typically, like, how many microphones are you going to be dealing with today throughout the whole program?
Well, we have 2 in-studio guests today, so those will be 2 extra mics that I'll be dealing with. But on average, I deal with about 3 mics.
Okay. And how did you get involved with the Do the Math TV program?
Well, I got involved because this is the industry I want a career in. And so I heard that through a family friend. Sorry, they had someone who worked here. And so I jumped on that opportunity.
Okay, so you found out about it through a family friend, and this is something that you want to get into possibly as a career, and you said, hey, this is a way to kind of step into it. So have you been doing this the entire time, or have you had other roles since you've been with Do the Math?
Well, I worked as floor director first, and then I started training in audio, and then I've come into audio full time.
Okay, and how long have you been with the Do the Math program?
I've been with Do the Math for about 4 years now.
All right, and you enjoy it?
Yes, very much.
And how have you seen the program change since you've been here?
Well, I've seen it change mainly through the technological aspects. You know, we've gotten much better, more advanced equipment to use for better show quality.
All right, well, you know what? Do you have plans for, so where do you attend school right now?
I go to Centennial.
And what year are you in?
I'm a junior.
Okay, so you're obviously going to be there for one more year, right? And you'll probably be with Do the Math for another year as you're continuing your high school studies. Do you have a plan on what you'll be doing after high school yet?
I plan on attending SDSU for communications.
Oh, good. So there's a plan, and Do the Math is going to help get you there,
Yes.
right? All right, nicely done. So there's Joaquin. So give us your role once more.
I'm the audio producer for Do the Math.
Audio producer. There you go. Nicely done. We certainly do appreciate everything that Joaquin does as audio producer behind the scenes at Do the Math, and that is today's Math in the News. We'll be back with more right after this.
This week, Lab TV travels to Dayton, Ohio, where the Air Force is hosting the first LEGO League U.S. Open Championship.
Let's count it off, people. 3, 2, 1, LEGO!
This place has been invaded by robots and some wild-looking kids. The competition is fierce, but it's fun.
Well, it grabs the balls, it can activate the storm wheel.
It can bring the polar bear, the skiers, and the snowmobile over to the ice area.
In First LEGO League, kids age 9 to 14 design, build, and program robots. This year, there are over 9,000 U.S. teams, and 60 of the best are here to compete.
And here you are at the Nationals.
Yeah.
Are you amazed?
Yes.
We're here to learn, to experience, and to have fun.
Hopefully we will win or get a high place, but if we don't, it was still a wonderful experience.
First LEGO League is more than robots. Each year, the teams tackle a real-world problem. This year, the topic is climate connections.
So we're trying to fix global warming. We're here today who has the best solution to climate problems.
We got to teach kids about composting and recycling.
But right now, they're working on their robots. Designing and building a great robot is all about engineering. It takes science, math, a little hard work, and a lot of creativity.
This robot, it's two light sensors, so it's always parallel to a black line and stuff. These are the wheels of the robot right here, and they each have a motor controlling them so that they can turn independently, and that allows it to go forward, backwards, and steer, and even turn on a dime.
Each team designs their robot a little differently, but they all have to perform the same challenge.
We're trying to do a series of missions.
There's like 19 tasks that you can complete. All of them, the point totals out to 400 points total.
That's pretty much the game. You have to do it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
You have to think of innovative ways to do each task and see if you can find a way to do multiple tasks with that same innovation.
And to get the robot to do each task, it needs to be programmed.
We use a Nxt Programming Software that comes with this robotics kit.
This is our Nxt programming system, and this is the software that we use to program our robots in order to complete the missions in the competition. Here we have our tool palette, which we have different commands that we can drag into our program. There's little blocks that allow your motors on your robot to spin. There are also sensor controls where you can have interaction with your environment. There are loops that allow you to repeat things over and over again. Math is also very important in your programming in order to have good problem-solving skills and be able to create an algorithm that will successfully solve these missions.
The kids are focused on winning, but First LEGO League also builds teamwork and something they call gracious professionalism. That means treating each other with kindness and respect.
We basically designed it to be able to do more than one mission at a time. We designed it pretty much with the whole team. The whole team had different ideas and we just put those ideas together. Math, technology, science, a lot of other things. It's not just robotics, you learn more than just that.
This is like a beginning, but they don't even be working with giant robots and be designing stuff.
Since I want to become a mechanical engineer, this actually helps me train a lot.
That's our future.
After middle school, kids can compete in the First Tech Challenge. Last year, those teens won almost $10 million in scholarships. That goes a long way towards helping this next generation of engineers realize their dreams.
Well, see, before I wasn't really all interested in school and science and stuff, but now when I grow older, I want to be an engineer and design things like this for real-world problems.
To find out more about First LEGO League, robotics, and engineering, check out labtvonline.org.
All right, I know that LEGO League with the robots is a big thing, and I know that our friends at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Kern County are also heavily involved in that. And you may know some of the people that are involved with that, with the Boys and Girls Club. We also had a robot rumble we have featured here on Do the Math. We'll be looking at that again next year. And speaking of robots, a little something coming up later on today's program. But first, we have Jordan, an 8th grade student from Norris Middle School, in studio with us. You ready to get to work?
Yes.
All right, well, you've been hanging around for 12 minutes now, so it's about time to get to work, right? All right, over to the board, young man. So you need to factor this, and here we go. 3t cubed minus 7t squared.
7t squared?
Yes, 7t squared minus 3t plus 7. So, Jordan, before you guys get going, what I want you to do is kind of explain a little bit about the problem, what you think of right now, and then you and Cindy together can kind of discuss it a little bit before what you actually get into it, because there are going to be a lot of students looking at it going, I don't understand what's going on. There's not an equal sign, and what does it mean factor? You've got variables and exponents and things going on at the same time, all right?
But real quick, the 3t has a cubed, so it's a power of 3 on there.
Oh.
There we go. All right. Okay. So factoring, when you think of factoring, what do you think that means?
Well, factoring is making it to the smallest amount that it could be, or to make it go down to what it was.
So what type of problem, okay, so I think you first learn to factor in elementary school when you do factor trees, right? You do the prime factorization. And so you're breaking it down into a multiplication problem, which is what we're doing here also, is we're factoring the polynomial down to a multiplication of the smallest terms possible, the smallest polynomials. Okay, so when you have 4 terms and you want to factor it, how do you approach it? What do you look for first?
Well, first we look at that we have 4 terms, so if we have to make them into binomials, so we group 2 of them together to make 2 binomials.
Okay, so you're grouping them up.
Then we have to, for both of these, we have to factor them out.
So you have to find the common factor.
We have to find the common factor within these within one binomial, then find the other one.
Okay.
So for this one, we get t squared, leaving us 3t minus 7. And we have to factor out this side the same way. And then we get
So
Yeah,
let's see,
okay.
they don't have any t's in common.
They don't.
And they don't really have a number other than what number? What
1.
number? Yeah, there you go. So you want to factor out a 1. Then you got to decide.
A negative
And
1.
so how'd you know to make it negative? What did you notice as you were doing it that made you say, oh, I need to put a negative 1 right here?
Because it's a positive 7, and then we could have left it the other way too, but then it would change the entire problem with us having to put a negative in front right here.
And you want it to match?
Yes, we wanted to match this side over here, so we cross-cancel them to make into 2 binomials.
Yeah, so you want your 3t minus 7 to be matching on both parts, right? So. And so because you took a factor of negative 1 out, both of them switch signs. Okay, got it.
And then next we have to cross-cancel these each other out, and then it just leaves one of them left.
Because that's what's in common of those two. Okay.
And then we bring t squared and the minus 1 into a binomial. And then we're left with this.
Okay, so put your squared on there because it was t squared.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And then next we have to use FOIL to times them to each other.
But before we FOIL,
multiply,
check if it's completely factored. See if you can factor either part more.
T squared minus 1. We can't factor this anymore. Oh wait, yes we can actually.
So how did you know? Like, what did you notice?
Because it's t squared, so there's technically 2 t's, and then since it's a negative 1, it's always going to stay the same with 1.
So it's like a difference of squares,
It's
right?
a different, yes.
Okay.
So let me move the board down for you a little bit there.
There we go.
Thank you. And then which leaves us t minus or plus 1 and t minus 1. And then for this side, it's the same exact thing as the top up here, so we can't factor this out anymore, so we just have to leave it alone.
Okay, there we go.
T.
It doesn't have a perfect square or anything.
It doesn't have yes, it's not. They're not perfect squares.
So now if you wanted to check it, you would go ahead and FOIL. So you have 3 things, so you'd have to do it one at a time, right?
Or here we get the same thing with t squared and get negative 1. Over here, it's just, we just leave it alone. Do t minus 7. And then we FOIL, which is 3t squared. Then we have to do t times negative 7, which is negative 7t.
Okay, don't forget that there's a 2 on that t squared.
T squared?
On the left.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so when you did the 3t multiplied by the t squared, yeah, there you go.
Yes.
That'd be cubed, and then the 7t would be
squared.
Okay.
And then we have to do negative 1 times 3t, which is negative 3t. And then we do negative 1 times negative 7, which is positive 7.
And then you compare it to your original problem.
And it's the exact
everything's
same.
the same. And so which part was your answer then? Do you remember? What the factored part?
With the factor?
Yeah, where did we factor it completely? What was our final factorization?
Right here.
Yeah.
That way you don't get lost.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
did I end up and
Wait, which
what do
part
I
was
need
my
to show
answer?
there?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Yes.
Nicely done. All right. You know how to clear the board?
Yeah.
You know, there are multiple ways to clear the board, and every single student likes to do that big circle and then get rid of it like that. And that's great. It works. Hey, why not a round of applause? All right, young man, pick the marker back up. You're not through yet. So we're going to factor each polynomial if possible. Here we go. Here's one from your book. 12m cubed.
12m cubed.
Minus 22m squared.
Power 3 on the
Oh,
cube.
power 3, sorry.
Yeah, cubed means to the third.
Cubed, yes. Negative.
So
minus
22m squared.
22m squared.
Minus 70m.
70m.
So it's trinomial, so it's a little different than last time. Do they all have a common factor that you can take out?
They do all have a common factor.
So what do they all have in common?
They all have m in common, and they all have 2 in common.
Okay, so you can take out the GCF first.
Do 2m, which will leave us right here 12, 6m squared.
And so for people who aren't sure how you got that, you basically just divided 12m cubed by what you
12
took
cubed
out.
by, yes. And then right here we get 11m and negative 35.
Okay. So now we want to see if we can factor it more. The 2m's already factored down as much as possible, but the 6m squared minus 11m minus 35, possibly, right? So it's a trinomial. So how did you learn to factor a trinomial?
Trying to think back. To factor a trinomial, we have to factor each trinomial out with using the
so I mean, I'm not sure how how your teacher teaches it. Is this gonna write? So have you ever done like, oops, yeah. What do I push? That? There we go. So have you done? Nope.
You can just grab the other pen and just
Okay.
go up to the board also. So.
Okay. So, because I mean, we do it like this, where we organize our information.
Oh.
Have you seen that
Yeah,
before?
that's
Nice,
what I
okay.
use. Okay, and then go like this. And then we have to times the first term and the last term. 6, and we could leave the m squared. And then 6 times negative 35 is 210.
Okay,
m
it'd be
squared.
negative, right?
Oh yes, negative. And then we just take the middle term and we just put it down here, negative 11m.
Okay.
And then we have to find factors that times into negative 210 that add to negative 11m.
Right, right.
So one of them has to be negative, and one of them is going to be positive.
Okay. So really that tells us we're kind of subtracting them, right? Because they're opposite signs. So what's, 210, one way you made it was with 6 times 35. But what else is more obvious? Like what number would you normally start with if you saw 210 and you wanted to factor it, if it ends in a 0?
A 10.
So 10 times what?
The 10 times 21.
Okay, and then if you subtract those, because they're opposite signs, would that work?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay, so that's a friendly friendly problem. It works, pretty quick.
We have to make the 21 negative because that's the subtract down to 11m. And then we have that, and then we have to bring down our first term and our last term again to make it into a polynomial 4.
So you're going to make it have 4 terms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Negative 21m.
So basically you're splitting that middle up.
Yeah, we're splitting it up, and then, because since we substituted the negative 21m and 10m to equal negative m, we get that out, and then we could keep these terms instead.
Yeah.
Negative 35, and then now we have to.
Let me give you a little more room here.
Thank you. And then we can.
So now it's got 4 terms, right? So it's
Yes,
kind of
it
like the
has 4
last problem.
So all we have to do now is group them. And then we can take m out of here with.
So what number can you divide 6 and 21 by?
We could do it by 3.
Okay.
Leaving us 2m. Then leaving us negative 7 We do the same thing on the other side. A 5 goes into both of these. Do 5, which leaves us 2m. We have to make sure both of these are the same, and they are. And leaves us -7. And then now all we do is cross out these 2 terms to make 1, and then we add these 2 to make a +5 2m -7.
And then don't forget to bring down what your original common factor was.
2m.
Yes.
And then we have to see if we could factor them out anymore. And that we can't factor this out anymore. It's not a difference. And then 2m -7. No number goes into these, or they don't have an m in common.
Right.
So that would be the end of our problem.
And then if you want to check it, you would multiply it all back together to see if you get the original.
Yeah, we would have to do 2m.
You're all set?
Yes.
All right, good. So I know that you've been doing these in class, but it's nice to have a little review also, right? Especially since I think you've had a substitute also, right? You were saying?
Yeah.
Right. So it's good to get those things, but then a little bit of review help you through that right there. Nicely done. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. For your excellent work so far this afternoon, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at the Broken Yell Cafe. So congratulations on that. And you know what? We saw a little video about robots earlier. You know what's just equally as cool? The ocean. Check this out.
I've always wanted to be on the ocean. Since I was 12, actually, I wanted to work for NOAA. My name is Allison Stone, and I'm a hydrographic senior survey technician on board the NOAA ship Thomas Jefferson. My primary job on this ship is to make sure the ship is seeing the seafloor exactly how the seafloor is. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm doing anything from acquisition or processing data, reporting, analyzing the data. 601. But I'm also, as a senior technician, in charge of maintaining equipment on a regular basis. You're running the systems, you're making sure everything is working, everything is happy, as we like to say, all the sonars and all the equipment is talking to each other, and just generally making sure that the data coming in is good, because if that's not the case, then the data coming out won't be good either. What I love about my job is that every day we get to see things that nobody has seen before, or in ways that nobody has seen it before. We see images of wrecks that are so precise that it's almost like the ship is coming back to life. Very few people ever get to experience that. Being on a scientific vessel and working and living very closely with your coworkers creates an interesting environment. It's not like an office, or it's not like somewhere where you get to go home at the end of every day. This is home, and the crew really becomes a family. And we all look out for each other safety-wise. If you need someone to fill in for you, you help your crewmates out. For anybody interested in science, or who loves science and math and the environment, oceans, atmosphere, anything, NOAA has something for you. It's a great way to pursue your passions.
In the waters off of Martha's Vineyard, the Office of Naval Research is using unmanned and robotic systems to investigate how sediments on the ocean floor are moved around by currents and waves. Coastal storms often stir up sediments, creating a turbid layer of bottom water that can be difficult or impossible for Navy sensors and divers to see through. The problem is not easy to study using traditional ship-based approaches, so Navy scientists are developing and employing robotic observation systems. Some of these sampling systems are designed to monitor water column and ocean floor properties at fixed locations. The Martha's Vineyard Coastal Observatory, operated by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, is connected with cables to laboratories onshore where scientists can control the sensors and study ocean conditions as they occur. One advantage to this approach over ship-based studies is the ability of these robotic systems to operate during storms when it would be too difficult or dangerous for scientists to work at sea. Some of these robots are like small submarines that are able to move around under their own power.
Gliders are an AUV, an autonomous underwater vehicle, and it's kind of unique in the AUV world in that most vehicles are driven by propellers, but gliders are actually using a buoyancy drive to create forward propulsion. So I view these AUVs, or autonomous underwater vehicles such as the Ocean Glider, as a complement to today's boats and other structures where they're enabling us to say, okay, there's a place of interest that we'd like to go look at out here. They're doing these border patrols or boundary patrols.
As these systems become more capable, they will provide future scientists with the tools to unlock secrets of how the ocean works and to understand processes that scientists today are only beginning to realize. It's truly an exciting time to be an oceanographer.
Do you guys like the ocean?
Yes.
I love it. I mean, just all the time we watch these videos, I am just fascinated with everything that is going on. If I was a young man of your age, that's probably where I would be aiming, is to do stuff with the ocean, just because there are so many opportunities, and there are in a lot of other industries, but it's just so exciting because there's so much unknown. Anyway, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon. Phone numbers are at the bottom of your screen periodically throughout the program. Speaking of something interesting, we've got something interesting going on right now. We are lucky enough to have, check this out. Remember I said we were talking about robots earlier. Jordan, have you ever seen anything like this?
I've never seen it in person, but I've seen them before in like videos.
So you've seen videos of this, right? So from Boston Dynamics, we see on the side there, and this is a pretty famous robot, and we're fortunate enough to have this here on Do the Math. And I can tell you right now, this is probably the first time anywhere on the West Coast that this robot has been in a studio live on a program. And with us today, we've got Carlos Medina and Dr. Paul Murray with us from Bakersfield College. And so does the robot have a name?
Yes, his manufacturers actually call him Spot.
Spot.
Yes.
Easy enough. So Spot is here with us. So Carlos, what is your role with Bakersfield College?
So I'm the program manager for our Bachelor's of Science degree in Industrial Automation.
All right. And Dr. Murray, yours position with the college?
Well, I'm a professor at the college, and I teach students how to program all sorts of different things, including robots like Spot.
Okay. So getting it and building it is one thing, and then programming it is a totally different thing.
Right.
All right. And Jordan said that he was familiar with this. So how did this robot come about? Because this isn't the first one.
No, so we actually have quite a few robots at Bakersfield College. Spot is our most advanced robot.
Okay.
And he kind of demonstrates the top of what robots can do for maneuverability and capabilities. But we also even build robots ourselves out of simple components. And when students come to the college, they can actually build a robot on their own. It's not quite the same as Spot, but it's quite interesting to be able to build and program your own robot.
So from some of the things that some of the students might do, let's say they come in and they're just beginning and they're learning about robots and making their own robot. What types of things are those robots able to do, and then compared to Spot?
Well, we have some very simple robots that are essentially just cars, or they're like little tanks with tracks. And we have them coordinating with each other to do simulations such as simulating an agricultural environment where there's robots picking fruit in the field and then transporting the fruit to a loading zone and doing various tasks like that.
Okay, and how did you acquire this robot?
So we actually purchased them from their manufacturers, Boston Dynamics. So he's all the way from Boston.
And so what are some of the features? I mean, because it's not just a regular robot. I mean, this is a pretty famous robot, and it can do quite a few things.
Right. So his actual ordeal job, he's an inspector. They use them for power plants, nuclear power plants, or any energy utilities, where he can go in where it's not safe for an individual to go in, and he can inspect the area to make sure it's safe.
So he's got a lot of sensors on him.
Correct.
And so where would those be, or how are those?
He has sensors all around his outside and the inside and the top and the bottom and everywhere you can think of.
Okay.
And cameras.
And cameras. So there's cameras and sensors all over.
Right.
And approximately how many? I mean, are there like 12, 20, 90? I mean, so students are looking, well, how many? Because I don't see them.
Our students are still trying to figure it out. We barely got them in at the beginning of the year, and so they only spend a certain amount of time with him, so they're still learning everything about Spot and his capabilities.
Okay, and you're controlling Spot at the moment.
Yes, so Spot comes with a really simple controller that looks very similar to a Nintendo Switch, and with the crossover of an Xbox controller. So students are very aware with this type of controller, and so it's very easy for them to learn how to control a manure Spot.
And you say students,
Correct.
and we're talking about students that are younger than ourselves.
Yes.
Jordan,
right.
come on over here for a minute. Head on over by Carlos right there. Are you familiar with a controller like that?
Yes, I am.
So you're familiar, you're comfortable with something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So, Carlos, if you had to, pretend Jordan is in there and he goes, hey, I want to learn just a little something about how to control Spot. What is something very basic that you could show him that he could kind of look at and help with, let's say?
So right now he's on standing mode. We're going to switch it to walking mode, which is A. And then this is to walk straight back and forth, and this is to look.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
So can he try it?
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't want to say let him do it because you guys might be like,
Absolutely.
that's a lot of money in the kid's hand right now. And I know his parents are like, okay, how much money?
Yeah, it's very similar to a Nintendo Switch of how it's like the controller layout too.
He also has sensors, so he's not going to walk into you.
Okay,
He'll
so how
stop.
close can he get before, or am I at the maximum distance right now, or the minimum
Well,
distance?
why don't we try that?
All right, well, let's see. So can you have him walk towards me?
He
so,
won't.
All right, so that
Yeah,
he's backing up, and
backing
it kind
up.
of reacts like a dog, like you would expect.
He does, yeah.
Where he gets a little apprehensive and backs up.
Right.
Right. So what if I go towards?
He's fine.
So
because
he's fine
still,
if I go towards him, and I can.
You can pet him.
But he knows. So let's try. Can you make him walk towards the wall? See if he can. Okay, so he's sensing the wall.
Right. And he saw me also, so
Okay, which is why he
came
started
as far
veering
as
the
me
other
and-
way.
And then he stopped moving this direction.
Now, a lot of times, so he's on 4 legs.
Correct.
Is he able to go on 2?
Yes, and we're still waiting for his software to be released from Boston Dynamics.
Okay, so that's something that we can look forward
But
to.
we can do
because
some dancing, can't we?
Yeah, he can dance.
some dance. Well, hold on
Yeah.
a second. Jordan, you know how to dance? I know Carlos and Dr. Paul are pretty good dancers, but I wanted to see if you could throw a little move in there. But all right, so let's see some of his dance moves. Check it out.
So we just learned this right before our show with the Harlem Globetrotters a couple weeks ago.
So he was performing with the Globetrotters.
Yes, he got to go on the show with the Harlem Globetrotters, got to go on the court, and he got to dance with them as well.
And he's
Well-
balancing on 2 legs when he's doing that.
Well, I
so
was going to
it's
say,
quite a feat.
because there's got to be a lot of stuff going on because of
Absolutely.
the balance and then going up and down at the same time.
Correct.
And what are some of the other features? Like if you're, somebody says, hey, well, we hear you've got Spot, you've got 10 seconds to impress me.
He can climb stairs, he can dance, eventually he'll be able to stand up on 2 feet. He can be programmed so he can be autonomous. He can go on his own without having to control him.
Okay. And what types of things, so how far would Spot be able to go on his own?
We haven't tested that range yet, but it's a pretty good distance that we're hoping that he can go on his own. We noticed, but just working with him on being in an arena like Mechanics Bank Arena, there's a lot of interference with the communication, which lowers his distance of how far he can communicate with his controller.
Okay.
So
And-
we've learned that so far the hard way.
So you were with him during the Harlem Globetrotters, so you were on a hard surface floor much like this.
Correct.
Have you brought him out to a hockey game and put him on ice yet?
Yes, so we actually launched his Kern County tour with the Condors at the beginning of February, and he had a little incident where we had a carpet laid out on the ice and he was able to walk out, but like I mentioned, there was some sort of interference where I lost control of Spot and he pretty much went to sleep right before his performance.
Okay.
He is
So-
just a puppy still.
He's still learning, right?
Yeah.
So if he was on ice or something and slips, would like a dog who just kind of scramble a little bit, I guess, to get his balance
Right,
again?
and he's actually not made for ice, so he would not.
Right, that's why I'm saying, something like that.
he would
interferes
slip
with
just
him.
like a puppy. His legs were just spread out. His paws are actually made out of rubber, so anything that rubber can go on, he can definitely go on.
So how heavy is Spot?
He's about 70 pounds.
So basically like a regular sized dog, right? He's pretty heavy. I mean, with all of the sensors and everything inside and all of the cameras. Now, did Spot come as is, or did you have to assemble Spot?
He came as is.
Okay.
The only thing we had to do is connect the battery to him, and that was it.
And so when students are trying to figure out all of the sensors and cameras, how exactly are they doing that? How are they finding these?
They can look on through his manual. So there's a PDF manual as well, software information on a computer where they can read more about every aspect of Spot.
Okay, so I didn't know if they were would like take this plate off and dig around a little bit.
Well, they can eventually.
Okay.
Once they got to get down to basics first, and then eventually once they get all the information that they need, they can go in there and start exploring.
And how long is he powered up for? Like how long can he go for?
So each battery is powered up for about 30 minutes, and so we have 3 of those batteries that will keep them up for about an hour and a half.
Okay. Do you have any questions quickly, Jordan, before we keep on going?
You want to ask your parents for one for Christmas maybe, or birthday coming up?
Yeah, it's really cool. Does he have like some sense of like feeling a little bit, or like some sense of like touch to do anything, or like knowledge?
Not yet. We are missing his arm. He does have an arm that attaches to the top of his head, and that arm he's able to grab things, open doors, and do a little bit more than he can right now.
Okay.
So we're still waiting for the arm.
And if students were interested in these classes, Dr. Murray, what are the courses offered in some of the programs that you offer at Bakersfield College?
Well, so this robot is primarily tied to our industrial automation program. And in that program, we teach students, we start with the basics of electronics, and we teach them how things work, and then we teach them how to program things to make things work. So we program conveyors, we program robots, we build robots, we do a lot of different things, all evolving around automation.
Okay. So if kids are starting to learn to code in lower classes, this is going to be a help to them
Absolutely.
if they get into the industrial automation. And as we saw in the video, there are a lot of students involved with the Lego robots, and then the even more advanced ones where the middle school and high school students do robotic competitions.
Right.
And those kinds of things would help a student if they wanted to get into one of those programs.
It sure would.
And is the program, are they in it for 1 year, 2 years? How long is that?
So we have a number of different programs. We have some programs that only require 3 or 4 courses to get a certificate. We have associate degrees, which typically are 2 years. And the big thing we have at Bakersfield College is we have a bachelor program. So students can go to Bakersfield College, get their bachelor degree, and do that for roughly 1/5 of the cost of going to a university to get a bachelor degree. So it's very economical.
Yeah, I was going to say very economical, especially with what you guys have at Bakersfield College at the disposal for the students here in Kern County and Bakersfield specifically.
And then the best thing about it too is not only is the program very affordable, but then there's also a high demand of career jobs here and locally for these type of careers that the program trains the students to become.
All right. Well, I certainly do appreciate you guys coming down, taking some time, coming on Do the Math with us.
We love coming and showing them off.
Yeah, bringing in Spot. And once again, how long have you guys had Spot?
Since the beginning of the year.
Okay. So relatively new. You guys are still experimenting and finding new things out about Spot all the time.
Right. Exactly. That's why we need more students in our program to come and work with Spot.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's kind of like play. You know what? If you enjoy what you're doing, it's like playing all day long, much like doing the show here at Do the Math. People are like, oh, you've been there for 20 years. You know, what else are you going to say? Hey, you know, it's fun.
Exactly. When you add fun into it, I mean, there's so many things you can do.
Right. Well, you know what? We will be checking in with you guys because I know we will be going out to Bakersfield College to take a deeper look at the industrial automation program that you guys have, the robotics, and filming some things on site right there. But once again, Dr. Murray and Carlos, thank you for coming in this afternoon. And all sorts of fun little stuff going on here at Do the Math this afternoon with Spot, our newest buddy. See that? Much like a dog. It won't shed all over the house either.
Yeah, you don't have to clean up after him.
Hey, you know what? Another partner of ours that has been part of Do the Math for many years is CTEC and ROC, We'll check out livestock management right now.
So my program is an animal science program. It's livestock management. So it's essentially about the science behind our livestock animals. We go through anatomy, we go through care and feeding, what we have to do to raise our animals, and then we throw in a little bit of plant science in there also, because our animals need their crops to grow that they have to eat for feed. So we talk about our feed and what we have to do to grow those feed crops for our livestock animals.
Well, I've always been interested in like animal science and all that, so when I saw that there was an opportunity to be able to learn more about it. But yeah, it's a really cool class.
I decided to take this class because I am actually interested in the animals and I wanted to learn how to take care of them more properly than what I already knew. Some benefits that I get from this program is that I get to be outside with the animals, get to learn about them, get to make new friends too.
So a lot of times our students come in thinking that they don't really need math, but we sprinkle it in quite frequently throughout the year. We start out with starting our breeding season. And so we breed our Kern High sheep flock here at the school farm, and we put the ram in with the ewes for them to breed. And there's a certain number of days that the animals are pregnant for before they give birth. So we have to calculate their breeding dates based on the calendar and when they were bred in order to know when we are needing to prepare our barn for lambs. And then we also have our record keeping, where we have to record our records on everything, and there's always some math thrown in there, especially when we start looking at prices of feed, prices of the other costs, vaccines, syringes, anything else that we might have needed throughout the year, versus how much the animals are sold for, to look at our cost analysis and make sure that they're actually selling the animals for enough to go back and support the program for the following year. So for those students that are wanting to go into agriculture or the animal industry, it really gives them all of those technical skills that they're going to need to move on through that industry. It gives them a kind of a head start in their college curriculum also. But for those that aren't necessarily going to go on to agriculture or animal science, it really improves their problem-solving skills, because there's a lot of problem solving. You can't just plan for everything to go perfectly. That's not how it works working with live animals. So each day when we show up, we never really know what we're going to be walking into. And that really helps to train those students to look at and assess what needs to be done and to get the job done despite what it might be.
Livestock management, a big thing, especially here in Bakersfield and Kern County. And once again, thank you to all of the students at ROC and CTEC and Lisa over there. Those segments are 100% produced by the students themselves. In the past, and we've been partnering with ROC and CTEC for many years on Do the Math, we would go out and work with the students, but this time they are doing everything entirely on their own, and some outstanding work they have been doing so far this year. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Actually, a little programming note, we only have a couple of weeks left in this season. We will go until the end of this month, March, and then we will be off air as far as live broadcasts go until the beginning of next season. But in studio, we have Jordan, an 8th grade student from Norris Middle School. They've been doing some great work factoring, binomials, trinomials, things like that. Something a little different now, all right? Over to the board, young man. So I'm going to give you 3 equations, all right? So kind of start up towards the top of the board. A times B equals 12. All right, the next one you can put underneath it if you like.
Okay.
A plus B plus C equals 12. And here's the third one. C minus A equals A. Now, over on the right-hand side, let's put a couple of options for answers, all right?
Okay.
So maybe further over to the right so you have some room. C equals 6.
C equals 6.
B equals 4. A equals 3. And A equals 2. Now, only one of those is correct. You have to figure out which one is correct. So what I want you to do is start talking through what your process is, and you and Sydney can work on this together. All right? Go to it.
Okay. So it says B equals 4, and there's 2 different A's. So A equals 3 or A equals 2. So we could look at the first problem, A times B equals 12, and we could figure out which A is correct, and we could figure out that. So B is 4.
Okay, so he said only one of those options is
Right,
actually
so
correct.
B doesn't have to be 4. It could be anything you want it to be right now.
So if B's 4, that means A wouldn't be 3. You know what I mean? Like, he said only one of those is true.
Oh,
okay, so anyways. Keep going, though. Keep going. Because I think you're on the right track with, trying some numbers.
Only one of these is correct, you
Only
said?
one of those is correct.
Oh, okay. A plus B plus C.
So I would say pick one, whichever one you want to try to start with. Put it in and kind of figure out what the other numbers would be and whether they'd work or not.
Okay, so I'll start with A equals 2. So A 2 times B equals 12. Then we get 2 plus B plus C equals 12. Then C minus 2 equals A.
Okay.
Or equals 2.
Right. So take that information, go up to your first one. 2 times B is 12. So what would B be?
It would be 6.
All right. So then substitute 6 in for B and see if that works in the other one.
Yeah, so plug that in down there.
And then you and Cindy keep going.
6.
So if you have that there, what would C have to be?
8. It would have to be 4.
Okay.
4.
And then if you put that in for C in the other one, does it work?
It does work.
Oh, wow, you got lucky, huh? Right on the first try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes it does happen like that, where you get lucky. Because a lot of students see that and they go, well, I'm just going to make C 6 because that's what it says it is. And I'm going to make B 4. But then if you try doing that, it's not going to work. Right? So nicely done on that. You got lucky on that first try, and sometimes it happens like that. All right, so nicely done. A little round of applause for you there in the background as well. Well, you know what? All this season we've been talking with people that are involved with Do the Math and have been involved with Do the Math over many, many years during the entire 20-year span of Do the Math. The last couple of weeks we've been focusing on people behind the scenes. Today we had an opportunity to speak with the audio producer, Joaquin. And yesterday we had an opportunity to speak with Kiki and Jack in the control room. And there's Jack again today working at the control room. And one thing that we weren't able to do, and we found some footage of the young man, because he is still a relatively young man right now. He's not even in high school yet. And there he is controlling everything right now. But let's take a look at some of the footage that we have.
636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30, and here we go. As I said, we have our youngest guest, as far as I can remember. I haven't been here all 14 years. I don't remember a student younger than second grade. Why don't you introduce yourself and let us know where you go to school?
I go to school at Stockdale.
And what's your name?
Jack?
How's second grade going, Jack?
Really good.
Yeah? Anything too hard about it?
Nothing.
Nothing? So whatever I give you, you'll have no problem doing.
I have no problem.
You'll have no problem. That is exactly the attitude that I want to see right there.
So there's Jack right there when he was in second grade, the youngest student that we've ever had on the program. And so Jack is back in the control room right now. Funny to see his reaction as he was watching that. And so he's been with the program for many, many years and doing an excellent job in the back right there. So we like to see Jack. He is controlling everything that you are able to see throughout all of the different episodes here on Do the Math this year. So once again, a great appreciation for Jack and all of the students in the back right there. Little added bonus for today's Math in the News. All right, you kids ready? I'm going to give you a problem and I'm going to give you like a minute to solve it. All right? Here we go. Let's see. Let's go 7x minus, open parentheses, 5 plus 6x, close parentheses, equals 4. So you need to solve for x, and I will give you 90 seconds. Go.
Okay, first we have to distribute the negative. So we could do 7. We get negative 5, negative 6x equals 4. And we have to distribute 7x to negative 5 and negative 6.
Wait, so hold on. So you have 7x subtracting that expression, so you distributed the negative, but you really can take your parentheses off on your second part.
Oh, yes.
So you don't have to distribute again, because you already did your distributing. You got rushed, huh, from the 90 seconds?
Yeah, the
All right.
time limit. So just take your time now. You've still got about
you got
45 seconds.
So negative 5 doesn't go in any of these, so we could do 7x minus 6x, which leaves us x minus 5 equals 4. We could add 5 to both sides, which leaves us x equals 9.
There we go.
All right, and how do you know that's correct?
We could plug in 9, so we can 7 times 9 and 5. Oops, I forgot the negative. Times 9, subtract 5 plus 6 times 9 equals 4. And then we just have to solve this, so we can do the parentheses first, then we have to do multiplication first, which is, this is 5 plus 9.
Yep, 54.
54.
There you go.
Yeah. Equals 4. Leaves us negative.
So basically 63 minus 59.
63.
And then 5 plus 54 is 59.
59.
And when you subtract.
There you go. So Jordan, while you finish that up, did you learn a little something today?
Yes, I did.
Did you have fun?
Yes, I did have fun.
Especially with Spot, I'd have to say, huh? There you go.
Yes.
Until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.